Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and today I'm going to work on replacing an anti-reverse dog on a Penn 550 SS SpinFisher. That's the third generation of the reel, and I got a set of these reels in, two of them from Mike. Both of them had the same problem. They've got a faulty anti-reverse dog, and that's what's causing the reel to fail. So I did the problem diagnosis because you're not always certain that it is a bad dog. There's a lot of moving parts in the anti-reverse system. One of them could be a defective override on that switch that toggles it. And sometimes these dogs freeze in an open position because of salt buildup and the like in that screw there. They'll bundle around that. So I wanted to make sure what the problem was before I went and ordered pieces and parts to throw at it. Well, indeed, it is the anti-reverse dog, and there's two problems with this one. The first one is this is a friction-driven dog, so you'll notice that we have two fingers, one on each side here. Those fingers grab the click ratchet or the anti-reverse ratchet and pull it in. Well, when you spread too far apart, it's going to go the opposite way. It's going to be this way. When it's spread too far apart, there's no friction. If there isn't friction, it can't pull it in and out. Now, sometimes you can get away with pinching these back together. It's only a spring clip in there. And every now and then, if you just lightly grab a pliers, kind of pinch the tips, you'll pull that back together. Now, they don't need to be touching each other. They just need to be narrower in gap than this in order to get the right friction. But over time it'll wear out again and again and again. And we can also see not only is it widened, but these are starting to flare out, kind of in a banana shape going out. And that means probably that it was attempted before at some point, or maybe it's just worn that way. But regardless, this one is at the point where it needs to be replaced. The other thing I noticed is that the one is shorter than the other, which means that somewhere along the line it was grinding down on something, and so it's time to get a new one for that. Well, I did that. I went to mysticparts.com, and it said that the part was no longer available, but there's a substitute part that you can actually use the parts from the 450 rather than the 550 as the replacement part. So that's what we have here. And again, I'll show you. You just need enough friction there that it's going to hold, just like that. And that as you crank this, it's going to pull that in, and that's how you're going to set that anti-reverse. So let's get busy on this one then. We're going to do a couple of things. I did take out all of the internal gearing. I wanted to make sure that I tuned this reel up. It was a dirty reel. That wasn't the cause of the failure from the piece. And there's just a little bit of left here. There's some grease on the pinion gear that I'm going to take care of before we go much further. So we'll show you how to put this reel back together in addition to how to service and how to replace that anti-reverse dog as we go through the process. So I like to service a reel. If I have to take a reel apart to do the anti-reverse, it's going to be all in parts anyway because you have to remove almost everything to get to it. So you might as well do the service on it, and those of you that are watching will benefit from that. So I've greased up the pinion gear. The next step then is going to be a ball bearing, which I've previously oiled. Once you've put the cap on, we can go reinstall that in the cavity here for the bearing. Again, that bearing's been oiled. And then we can take the collar that we removed previously. That collar goes on both sides. And we have two screws that we'll go to install with that. And then we'll be able to put that drag system on. We'll show you more how it works. Or the anti-reverse system, I said drag system. Show you how that works, and then get on to the rest of the rebuild for those of you that may have it apart or are thinking about taking it apart. Well, the taking apart is easy. I get that story a lot from reels that come in a bag. It was easy to take apart, but something got messed up on the return. And when that reassembly happens, sometimes there's a sequence to it. Sometimes there's a orientation part to it. And you want to pay attention to that. So when I tell people to repair their own reels, which I hope you're trying to do, this is a do-it-yourself channel, But when I tell people to go ahead and try that, one of the recommendations I make is to take pictures along the way. Okay, so we want to take the new piece then, and we want to work that over the fork so that it sets to each side of it. Then we can rotate the anti-reverse dog in and position it for the screw hole. Just like that. And we're going to grab that screw and start that. So it looks like this is a good replacement part. I put it up against the other one. The only thing I noticed differently was that there was a shorter arm on the override switch, but that seems to be catching, so I think we'll be okay there. It's a shame with these older reels when something like this, which is, I'll call it a consumable part because it does wear, but then if it becomes unavailable, well, you're kind of stuck. So here's how you can see how that friction is going to hold, and that's what broke on the other one. We should be able to turn this now, and as we're turning, get a free ride, and then as you go to back off, it should pull it in just like that. So it's not an exact replacement, but it's about as best as it's going to get done. And you can see that you have a firm seal here against that click ratchet and the anti-reverse dog. So we're in good position with this. Next up then, we're going to clean this rotor up a little bit. I've taken care to clean the lower pieces in the interim. This is a rod and reel cleaner. I'm using a paper towel. You can use a kitchen scrubby and some other pieces if it's severely tarnished. Right now I'm just using that paper towel. That should do fine. That's a Penn rod and reel cleaner. I want to get a little bit of grease and oil into that bale trip mechanism below. That's a spring-driven piece. And now we can go ahead and put the rotor on. There's a keyway here. It's a set on that rotor, so make sure that it's locked on the rotor properly and that it's locked onto the pinion gear. I'm going to take that rotor nut. You got to put this on before you can put the axle shaft on and finish the balance of this reel. All right, I'm going to hand tighten that as much as I can, and we'll give it a test before we go much further here. Tighten that down. And if you spin it now, you should get the spin, and then you have the backstop. There you go. That's what's needed. You have the anti-reverse working fine. So I've already gone ahead and greased and cleaned the main gear. We're going to reassemble that next. And on these reels, you need to put the main gear in before you put the axle shaft in. And we'll put the crosswind block in. When you do the crosswind block, make sure that you get some grease into the channel where the stud from the crosswind gear or oscillating gear is going to run, just like that. And then we can put our axle shaft in. Light coating of grease. Don't put anything more than a light coating, otherwise it's just going to run off as you try to put it through the pinion gear here. Now we'll assemble that. We'll bring that down so that it matches into the crosswind block. There's a channel there you need to fit it into, just like that. And then you're working for the flat side so that you can get that tie down bar there. Now this is up a little high, so I'm going to reverse that so that I can turn the reel down a little bit to get the clearance I need. If you're working on, say, a Penn Fierce or one of the newer models that does not have that anti-reverse override switch, be very careful when you're going to reset this crosswind gear, because it can travel up and there's no way to back it off, and well, let's just say it's trouble. All right, I'll just go ahead and grab this now and unline that. I have 2 screws to tie that down. And for the most part, Mike might have a little bit of a noisy reel here. I think is due to age, and clearly if you're wearing down that anti-reverse dog, you put a lot of fishing trips in with the reel. but otherwise I think it's going to run fine. The bearings, as I tested, seem to be okay. I just think that some of the parts in here may be a little bit worn, like that anti-reverse dog was, and that will cause it to be a little bit noisy. All right, the two of those go on. I put a little bit of grease on the tip of my screwdriver just to kind of hold it in place. I've already done this, but we'll do it for example. I'm oiling the bearing on the side case. Now that should just fit over nicely. I'm going to just flip that back to the proper position there. I do notice that on these screws that there is a little salt accumulation, so I'm going to just do a little bit of a dose of penetrating oil here just to kind of help dissolve that grease, or that salt rather. Put that on, and then I got a little puddle of oil on my table here. It's one of the reasons why I wear this protective glove, to keep a lot of that stuff off my hands. But every now and then it will get on there. And then we'll go ahead and tighten down these. We'll put that handle back on. We'll make sure that we have that anti-reverse functioning the way it should. So if you like these kinds of videos, as I mentioned, please subscribe. If you want to see more, hit that notification button. If you have a question on this reel or any reel in particular, I'll be happy to try and answer them for you. Maybe you're working on one and you're stuck. Just go ahead and leave it in the comment section, and we'll see what we can do to get you an answer. If I don't know the answer, I'll try to point you to a resource that will know the answer, and or at least give you further information. All right. Okay, nothing left then to give it a final test. There we go. Make sure we have that anti-reverse. Give it the override. Noisy, but expected for this age of the reel. Bail works. Everything's ready to go. So that's it. That's how you take care of a faulty anti-reverse on a Penn 550 SS SpinFisher reel. I hope you've enjoyed that. To everybody, please stay safe, stay well, and stay watching. To all of our first responders, thank you for everything it is that you do. Your efforts truly are appreciated as we work our way through the pandemic. Everybody, please have a great day. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle.